It's a bit of a sunny day or a bit of a dark day, depending on who you talk to. But this is Skinny E Media, Mark, presenting to you with the two members of a brilliant band I've just heard of called Champion Clouds. Here we have Neil Tolliday and Asa Hudson. How do you do, fellas?
Hello.
All good, thank you. Hello.
Hey, nice to meet you too as well. Well, I happen to know Neil particularly because he also worked with Simon Mills from Ben. This is a side project that he's been doing for a while by now. And when did you get your start with Champion Clouds? Just this year? Just since the pandemic?
Yeah, just in February.
Okay, that's pretty quick. So far, so good. Well, I'm happy to say you have definitely honed your craft very quickly.
Yeah.
We need some new talent as we speak.
Cheers.
So far, so good. I know you've just released one album, and then you'll be releasing another one very soon, and a fair few EPs. I've heard quite a few of the songs, and all of them are very good, particularly Scratchy Legs, which is my favorite, just between you, me, and you lads.
Okay.
And I was just going to ask, instrumentation-wise, what type of instruments do you use for your music? I know you have a sort of grip for the bass guitar.
Yeah, I play bass on most of the tracks, and the rest of it is just made up with just lots of, like samples, and synths and things like that. So, but yeah, the bass is a particular favorite of mine.
All right, you use a Fender or Gibson?
It's actually a Squire Bronco bass. It's like a smaller necked bass. It's easier to play, I find.
Okay, very interesting there. As far as synthesizers are concerned, because I know I talked with Simon a few months ago. He said he used a few Korgs and Rolands here and there for his sound. So do you use anything particularly? Maybe like a Nord or Moog?
I've got some modular synths, an analog systems kind of system, and also it was a hand built. I can't actually show you because I can't turn my computer around, but it's like a hand built, like a 5U old Moog style 3-tier modular synth, which a friend of mine built. I use that a lot. I've also got a Mellotron, which I use quite a bit, and an old SH-101, and quite a few plugins as well. So a mixture of digital and software and hardware.
Well, I like the way you complement the sounds together, because with Champion Clouds, it very much had a organic, almost alternative rock vibe to the sound that you'd almost hear like on MTV2 back in the 2000s or on XFM.
Oh, yeah.
Well, maybe that's just me or that's in my head, but that's kind of what I got from it. Compared to your projects that you've did, this definitely has a more of a sort of umbrella sound to it. What's got the few traits from your original work that you did with Ben, or even other collaborations you did also with Sleaford Mods? And I will say, because I know you know Jason Williamson one way or another, because he uses the same sort of bass lines on a lot of his tunes. Did you work with him on bass lines for previous Sleaford Mod tracks?
When I worked with him, it was more, I was just looping up like old records and samples and things like that. He wasn't really using those kind of bass lines at that point. It was just him on his own, and I did some of the backing loops for him. It wasn't until he met Andrew that they started kind of using those sort of bass lines. But yeah.
Because some of my friends online were kind of curious about that, because they seem to be more into that band than Bent or Champion Clouds, which is, it's put in the favorites here and there, but that's definitely one of the things that has been marketed for the Champion Clouds biography, and some of the comparisons that you made to your sound with Serge Gainsbourg and Eels, I think is absolutely hilarious. Maybe
Yeah, that was a friend of ours who wrote that. But so we kind of left. We said, look, just write what you want and whatever you hear, just put it down, because I don't know about Asa, but I'm absolutely hopeless at explaining to people or trying to describe what it is that I do. I don't have that kind of capacity to be able to do it very well. I just kind of get on with it and sort of let other people work out what it is.
Hey, that's the best way to approach it, because people put too many classifications on people's music. I know everyone likes to put, from your other band, Ben, in the trip-hop and down-tempo electronic category. There are certain songs here and there that almost sound very much like a Pet Shop Boys tune from the 80s, or Talk Talk, or maybe Depeche Mode. That's up to debate. But if we've got 80s vibes here and there, or late 70s soft rock, which is always lovely. Gallagher and Lyle have a G&T. And I like to put a little bit of humor in there for everyone watching. And I know with Champyun Clouds, because it kind of started off fairly recently, I'm sure it's been quite difficult trying to get venues because pandemics, a lot of restrictions and closures. I know you just played recently at the Bodega in Nottz. Yeah. How was it for you?
Amazing.
It was great, yeah.
It was really good. We played the Night and Day Cafe in Manchester the day before. That was kind of like the taster of what to expect. And then, the Bodega one was great. Absolutely loved it. It's just, perfect.
It was a hometown gig as well, so there was lots of friends there to support us and as well. So, it was a good night.
I wish I could have been there. Unfortunately, I'm abroad at the moment, but I definitely would have seen you because I love a lot of the sounds and music that you do there. And also the name is pretty interesting as well. Did it come from a riff on Champyun sound or something else?
Well, basically, we were trying to think of names for the band, and we thought, because I know that Ace's name means firstborn, and one of the meanings of my name is champion, and also cloud. So I decided to get rid of the Ace a bit and just make it all about me.
Yeah, pretty much.
So Champyun Clouds just had a nice sort of ring to it, and we decided to spell it wrong as well, just to stand out.
One of them.
Hey, it's the latest phase these days. That Indian rapper that is very popular at the moment. He misspelled weekend.
Yeah.
So I guess you're kind of in that bandwagon, but you're a hell of a lot better than Weekend. I don't like Canadian music except for Van 3000. They're the only good band.
That's just how we say it around here as well. We don't really pronounce things a lot. Like, we don't have the time to say champion, so it's just champion.
I get that. I'll call it L'Essieu du Champion.
We'll take that. Yeah,
nice.
That's nice.
Los cielos de los campeones.
Yeah.
Viva los cielos de campeones. I'll stop with the foreign language bits. We Brexited already.
No, that's fine. You show off, mate. That's fine.
All right, then. Whatever you say so. And as far as the Champyun Cloud sound and its connection to Nottingham, Nottz, the Robin Hood folklore, what does it mean to you? What does the band connect with the sound of Nottz in of itself?
Well, musically, I don't know whether it connects to anything or not. I mean, I guess the obvious one would be the way Asa sings, and he sings in his own voice, and it's like in his own accent, rather. And he's got a pretty broad Nottingham accent, so a lot of people are just like, are you trying to sound like Sleaford Mods? Because obviously Jason sings in his accent too, but it's not like that at all. He literally just how he does it, so it's just the way it is.
I've heard some people saying about the song that I like, Scratch Your Leg, saying, oh, you're just trying to riff on Jason Williamson. I said, don't say that. Jason had to start somewhere.
Yeah.
And for a while he wasn't really doing music. He was working like Little Chef and so on and so forth. Then he started a lot of the music stuff by himself, and then you get with Andrew or Stony Dogs, etc., etc. In many ways, Asa, and I hope you don't mind me saying this, you've got more in common with Marky Smith than you do with Jason.
Well, yeah, I'm glad you picked up on that. Yeah, no, Marky Smith's is Marky Smith, and he's one of my heroes. But
you don't like the Fall, do you?
Oh, only a bit.
I
never had you down as a Fall fan.
No, I had no idea.
No, it's the thing was like with the Nottingham thing, because I've been recording since I was about 14. I'm 26 now, and when I first started, I did do singing my own accents. And then when Sleaford Mods started getting big, I thought, oh well, what's the point? Because people will just compare me to them. But then I thought about kind of like the Manchester, Manchester scene with all bands like Northside and Happy Mondays and James and all of them lot, and they all share the same accent. And I thought, well, if they can do it, then no one's going to grass on each other there. But at the same time, it's like with a lot of the hip hop acts that you get in America or even the UK, like no one's going to question someone else from Atlanta alongside Outkast. That's the way I see it. So that's what kind of relieved me of my minor anxieties towards my own accent. But yeah, it's all good.
I've got no issues with East Midlands English or Lancashire English.
Yeah.
Some of my relatives from my father's side lived up north. I always try to do a bit of the accent when I can. Because I'm a whole have a gas like man. All right, come up there, have a bit of a part and brew here. I'm not with a few of them lads out because they support Everton. They're like Liverpudlians, them bloody Beatles fans. I know. Is that terrible? Because I can't do a northern dialect. I could do like a Welsh type of one, like someone who listens to Super Ferrari Animals or sort of Dublin Dog type of band.
Wow. Yeah, that's pretty bad.
Yes. Sorry to all those from Camry.
Yeah, exactly.
No, come spend a couple of weeks in Nottingham. You'll soon pick it up. It'll be all right.
All right, there.
You'll love it.
Try this. Say, hey up me duck.
Hey up me duck.
There you go.
There you go.
You got it.
A star.
He's a bit of a cheeky chappy, ain't he? Hey,
let's leave it
you and them bodies. I'm from Hertfordshire, just so anyone knows. So I speak like Queen Elizabeth, Prince Harry, and them lot, but I'm not as snobbish as them twats. Excuse the French. But I'll get back onto the music questions here and there. So with the second album that's going to be coming out, any sort of plans or directions as far as style? Because I know on the side about the background noise, with the album and the EPs, it was kind of like a mix of flavors and delicacies, or a little bit of Afrobeat, or a little bit of soft pop ballad inspirations. Is there going to be a certain style for number 2?
It's a bit more of the same in as far as it's varied in style, but it's a bit more developed. Progression, production wise, we sort of spent a bit more time on it, and like I say, it's still, we've only been going since February, so it's come along so quickly. It's I don't know. I don't really tend to think about things too much when I'm coming up with the music. It's like I really don't know. I don't think about it, so I don't think like, oh, we need to be a bit more like this, or we need to do a track that sounds like that. It's literally what just comes out, and I think obviously the further we go on, the more confident we're getting, and we've already started work on the third album, and that's sounding like, because we both like songs. Do you know what I mean? So there's a lot of there is song structures in there, but we like to make it a bit weird. As long as it's a little bit weird and a bit a bit wonky, then thing, I think.
There's nothing wrong with weird and wonky. What were you saying, Asa?
I was going to say, like what Nell says with the melodies and all that, was still being a bit quirky in places, but you just can't beat something that's catchy. Want something to remember. Like, we can make weird stuff all day that sounds like some lost krautrock gem from like the 70s, but at the end of the day, you can have a bit of that and then still make something catchy that people will remember. Because it's don't want it to be too don't know. Sometimes with that kind of stuff, it could be sound a bit ego-y. Like you just want to, you know, project certain sounds and make it, you know, uncomfortable or hard for people to get into. But which I'm sure we could do at some point. But
I want people to get into it. That's the thing.
Just want it to
That's
be catchy.
We want people to like it and to enjoy it, and without kind of sacrificing any of our own kind of, you know, whatever it is we want to get out of it, which is, like I say, just to make kind of, I mean, we say it's kind of like Nottingham space pop, which I think kind of sort of sums it up, because it's a bit poppy, and as far as, you know, these songs is catchy sort of hooks and lines in there and stuff, but it's I do think it's a little bit strange, which is good, because that's kind of life, isn't it? You know,
takes twists and corners every step you take, whether it be on a social, political level or cultural. And I think the Nottingham space pop marketing way you branded Champyun Cars is actually a funny way to put it. I've never heard such a thing in my life. I know it kind of harks back to like Electric Light Orchestra days. Simon Mills likes ELO. He had a Dynasty on LP. He was saying how much that album inspired him, especially with some of his early work that you did with him on Bent, Programmed to Love. My favourite album, one of my favourites.
Okay.
And mine.
Hey, welcome to the club, mate.
Yeah.
I'm sure, you know, because I don't like saying my age, but I'm in my late 20s. You're in your mid-late 20s yourself. You probably were a little upset that you couldn't see these bands as a kid. You had to wait till you were older. And when they were older, they didn't really play for a long time. And then they had Up in the Air, but that came up during the pandemic. So I bet you felt like...
Yeah, but I can remember, the thing is, that's what's so great about with Bent, is that even though I've been too young to remember the scene and all that kind of stuff, but because with Bent was on so many different advertisements as a kid, for some reason, when I first met Nail and he told me about Bent and I bought some of the stuff off him and listened to it, I'd be calling him up going, I remember this from this like weird advert from like 2001. And like, you know, I can remember it from being a kid. So that just shows the kind of importance of what Nail and Simon did and continue to do.
I'll agree with that there, because you definitely inspired me a lot with also my music that I did on the side. I go by MXQ, which is a lot of my electronic stuff. I think it means like a mini LTJ Bukem or Nightmares on Wax, and then Head Smoke, which is the spoken word stuff that's very Sleaford Mods, Full, Suicide, Crass-esque. Sort of level of madness, but mixed with a little bit of LCD sound system for good measure. But my first introduction to Bent, and I know I should be talking about Champyun Clouds a bit more, but was the Swollen music video where he dressed up as astronauts. I can never get that in my head. And then the Thick Ear song was used on the ad for HM Revenue and Customs.
That's one I remember. For some reason, when I was 6, like when I used to sit watching my Cartoon Network, I can remember this tax advert coming on with that. And I remember saying like, no, were you on a tax advert? And he was like, yeah, mate. How do you remember that? And I'm like, I don't know why a 6-year-old would remember a tax advert from like 20 odd years ago. But, you know, that just shows how important music in that kind of setting goes, especially with like back then with advertisement. Like you know, like, that was like the time when I was a kid when I'd hear like Moby and Moloko on the telly on adverts, and it was like, oh my God, all this great stuff's on telly, and then there's Bent, and I didn't know for years and years and years that it was Nail and Simon.
Exactly. That was, you know, my first introduction, because I was watching Dexter's Laboratory, my favorite show growing up. And then they played the ads for that. I'm like, now I'm starting to cry. Because it reminds me of the good old days when you go to Virgin Megastores, Zavi and HMV just to buy the latest records, and I would scan around seeing all the album covers and obsessed over them as well, and seeing you and Simon with the apples on your mouth. Or that US one where you saw like stick figures. Yeah. And one that had like a spectacles. I can never get that out of my head. And Private Road is one of a very beautiful tune. If I had the opportunity to remix it for an upcoming Bent album, or even remix a Champyun Cloud tune, just give me a holler. I'll be more than happy to.
We've got you penciled in, don't worry.
Exactly. Yeah. And I know for you, because we're millennials, Nail was probably of the Gen X generation. How old are you? Mind me asking?
I'm 47.
Okay, so 70s, you probably remember a lot of like Simon, the ELO, Pink Floyd stuff, and I could see with the second or third album, you might be going with a Dark Side of the Moon meets Wall type of vibe. Maybe that might be a bit much there.
Oh, well, yeah, maybe a bit more lively than that.
What, with Bent or Champyun Clad?
Champyun.
Yeah, a bit more lively than that, I think. But I mean, we both like Pink Floyd, most of it. So, I like everything up until about Animals, I think.
Same here.
Yeah, that's a bit reasonable there. So some of this stuff be quite experimental. There's even one tune that I would say it sounded like Bent or Champyun Clad, but it sounded a little like Boards of Canada. And I thought, I see where I'm going somewhere, or like a take or exercise tune, one way or another.
Yeah.
Maybe that's just me. What is your favorite album by chance, and did it influence Champyun Clouds, or even Ben, or other works you've done?
You can go first.
I mean, for me, me and Neil always talk about music anyway, because we both just love music. We're just music lovers, and the idea of an album and the concept of an album, and sometimes it can tell a story or be a concept and all that, but nothing really influenced me other than what Neil was sending me, because for me, like, it was just, I've always loved what Neil does and the Bent thing and all that, so for me it was just like, I'm just influenced by what Neil was sending me. I weren't listening to it and then thinking, oh, that sounds a bit like this, I'm going to then do this and this. Lyrically, probably more influenced by Bent, because I thought when I start working with Neil, I wouldn't listen to Bent anymore, but I probably listen to it more and still enjoy it just as much before. But I just like the idea, especially of like Programmed to Love, with tracks like Private Road, where I felt, because with my solo stuff, I just make daft lyrics up, but doing the Champyun Clouds thing, and then also just wanting the lyrics to be more universal and easy for people to get. Like I say, with tracks on Bent, like Private Road, I listened to that and I thought, well, maybe it's okay for me to open up and be a bit more kind of vulnerable or a bit more melancholy in tracks,
Especially true in Aerials.
Yeah.
There's one particular song that's very ambient. I can't remember the name, but it's absolutely beautiful music. I think I've used the next Tchaikovsky. Let's not digress ourselves a little too much there, but I will agree with you by lending the emotion that you heard from the Bent songs and lend them to Champyun Clouds, and doing it in a sort of 2.5 to 3 minute running time makes it accessible for the BBC, Capital, Kiss, Heart radio stations who, they want something snappy, but something that's also melodic as well. And it passes both tests.
Well, that's good.
You should be getting a lot more airplay than
fingers crossed soon.
Lewis Capaldi and Ed Sheeran and Doja Cat.
We'll end up working with them soon. They'll want us, don't worry. We'll bring them down to Nottz.
Hey, we definitely need the tourism revenue for Nottingham. I know some people, most of my southern friends say, it's a bit rubbish. Lots of gits who obsess about Robin Hood and drink themselves on benefits live up there. And I say, shut it.
You need some new mate.
Yeah, you do.
You need to come. You need to move to Nottingham, and you'll love it. It's totally not what people think. But going into like doing all the Champyun Cloud stuff as well, when we've had the kind of Sleaford Mods comparison, I can't sing or talk about what Jason talks about because he's a lot older than me and he's lived in a different generation. So there's no point for me to tell people about the government, the this, the that, because they know it's fucked. So it's, I try and just, Nail's kind of described it as more of like a stream of consciousness, really. And I just kind of make some weird ramblings. And then like I'm kind of inspired as well by the writing process of someone like David Byrne, especially when you get to like Remain in Light, where, or maybe Fear of Music, that kind of, what do they call it? Like that Dardari kind of stuff where the kind of random ramblings all of a sudden form words, and like with something like Radiohead, like Spinning Plates off the Amnesiac album, where it's a whole reverse track, but you see him play it live and he manages to find words that sound good backwards with it forwards. So, yeah.
Absolutely maddening stuff there. Funny enough, you heard say David Byrne. That's actually a good comparison to make, because he kind of did the sort of, weird lyric, under the water, carry the water. He wears that big suit of his. You probably saw them in concert back in your day. It was like, this and that.
Would it stop making sense? Yeah.
Yes. My mother loves that band, and as do I, mainly because of Once in a Lifetime, because he wore the glasses and was acting rambunctious. In many ways, you use more sort of rhyme and lyric. Like you said about the Jason thing, he's more like urban street poet, like John Cooper Clarke.
Yeah.
He even has that fake 8 minutes no an accent like that, which I think. Am I wrong to say this? Hopefully, Jason doesn't punch me at the pub. But I think of him as a sort of satirist or comedian, kind of like Chris Morris or a more intellectually minded Jimmy Carr.
Oh,
well, you'd have to ask him that one.
Yeah, you'll have to get him on for that.
But there's certainly more than an element of humour in his stuff. Definitely, I think you've got to laugh, haven't you?
Oh yes, of course, and I get a bit of kick out of Asa's lyrics as well. So I don't know. Maybe it's just northern accents or like Midlands. Since I've heard even Ozzy Osbourne, he's from Brummie. Even he makes me chuckle when he's singing or moaning about, I can't put the butter there. Sharon!
No, Jason is funny though. Like, I remember when oh God, Key Markets came out, and because it makes me laugh anyway, the stuff he talks about. But I remember when Key Markets come out, and there's a track on there called "In Quiet Streets," and that's probably my favourite Sleaford Mods track. And it's just so funny because it just sounds like he's just walked into the room and he's not even wrote anything down. He's just gone for it, and somehow it rhymes. It's brilliant.
I would agree with that.
It makes me laugh so much, and I do try because they are massively inspiring. Like when Sleaford Mods kind of started seeing them go to America and all that, they did give me more of a confidence boost because around that time I was still doing my solo stuff a few years back, and when they sort of blew up, it did give me that self-confidence, and especially like meeting someone like Neil, where it's like, well, maybe because with Nottingham, there's no one really to look up to be honest. Not for me anyway. I don't know. There's been some good bands and stuff, but no one's ever really, I don't know, pushed through or made a statement other than Ben, Sleaford Mods. I mean, maybe someone like Jake Bugg, but
Isn't Gang of Four? Isn't Gang of Four from Nottz? Or
I think they're from Leeds. Is it Leeds?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, because I don't know quite as much the Nottz sound as much as I do Canterbury scene, because my grandparents live down in Kent. Often that's pretty much my abode, but also I've lived in the United States as well, and the music scene here is not that interesting, to be honest with you. I know you get a lot of American artists, they make it big, even bigger than some of the British ones, especially like the R&B and hip-hop scene, but I just find them kind of dull. There's no charisma. Or even, I listen to even UK Top 40, Lewis Capaldi and Ed Sheeran. What's the deal with that there? I mean, if Lewis Capaldi was to hear one of your tunes, he'd probably try to rip off your sampling and try to pay you only 10%.
Yeah, we're expecting all that. We're expecting all the kind of...
I'd take 10% of anything he does.
Yeah.
He sells a lot of records.
Even if like a supermarket turn around, even if Tesco wants to use our tracks, I won't complain. No way. Someone pushing a trolley around Tesco to, bar tempo or scratchy legs, I'll take it any day of the week.
Depends how much they're paying.
Yeah.
Hot delivery would be a good one. You could air that for Just Eat or Deliveroo or Uber Eats. I think that we'd take, but unfortunately for me, I don't have contacts or connections with industry to say, hey, can you put my mate's song on one of your ads? Can you do that? Just like you did with putting Private Road on Top Gear before Jeremy Clarkson ruined it.
Yeah. long as Jamie Clarkson isn't singing along to it, that's fine.
All I want is a private road. Well, I don't have to pay road council tax and carbon fees and drive my Range Rover that gets 21.4 mpg. Not bad. My friend James May.
Anyone can use our music if they pay us good. Not that it's about the money, but you know, I do.
It is at my age.
Hey, you know what? Whatever works, I suppose. No, it's getting a little bit late for you lads. Oh, you seem like a party bunch, so I'll try to keep it a little.
All the time, we are.
quick for everyone. As far as I'm concerned with the Champyun Cloud sound, out of all the three genres, this is the first, second to last question. Afrobeat, alternative rock, or down tempo? Out of the three, what would you say is your biggest influence? Because there's that one song on that EP that sounds a little like Fela Kuti.
Oh, what do you say, Nail?
Um,
I mean, for me, definitely that alternative thing, like what you said a while ago about MTV2. I used to just sit watching that religiously until it closed. You know, you stay up late at night and you see some with proper wicked bands and stuff. Even, you know, staying up really late and tolerating Zane Lowe for a bit, that was nice.
I used to like Zane Lowe for a bit. I thought he was okay.
He was great.
He sold himself out.
I'll still get him to interview us. I'll shake his hand and give him a hug if he's going to play us on Beats Radio. Don't mind that, or Apple, or whatever he's doing now.
I know he's gone a little bit big because in the time I've spent in the US, he's now interviewing likes of people like The Weeknd and Beyonce and a lot of big names. It's not quite the same. He even interviewed Enter Shikari, who I actually know myself as a band. I saw them in Aylesbury back in 07, and he's mispronounced them as Enter Shakira, of all people. And
well, that's a whole different video altogether.
That's a whole, that is.
Exactly. And, you know, Ralph Reynolds, he's one to speak up quite a bit. But if he did that to either you or Jason, he might get a bit of a smack in the ear. Watch it. We tied up with a Z. Okay, I probably shouldn't swear. There's people around, so I have to be a bit careful about my language. And as far as favourite bands are concerned, what would you be your favourites? Because I know I like Champyun Clouds, but I also like your friend, Jason Williamson, his band. Public Service Broadcasting is another one that's very good. That even sounds a lot like Bent on some of their songs, mixed with Boards of Canada and Lemon Jelly. What about you yourselves, outside of Champyun Clouds? What are your favourite bands or singers?
Listen to all sorts, don't we, mate?
Yeah, but I mean, it's stuff I kind of go back to a lot. I like, there's a guy called Fad Gadget. I don't know if you remember him. Frank Toby. That's like early. He was one of the first artists on Mute when they started in the early 80s.
Oh, okay.
Like Fad Gadget.
Mute has a great repertoire because they also got Add N to X and Depeche Mode and Moby.
Exactly, yeah. And Erasure. Let's not forget them. Favourite bands, I don't know. I mean, new bands, I don't tend to listen to much new stuff. I just try and concentrate on what I'm doing with this, really. I like Sleaford stuff, obviously, Jason's a mate and all that, but I do like it. I think, I've said to him all along, this is really good, and you're gonna do something with this. We're all chuffed that it has. Oh God, I just don't know. I mean, I like a lot of 70s stuff, a lot of prog.
Yes, and also Tentacles.
Not so much, yes, more kind of like there's a lot of the Italian prog, which I can never remember the name of. There's quite a lot of them. But as a kid, I used to love the Peter Gabriel era Genesis. I used to love a lot of that stuff. Great musicianship, and really interesting bits. I know at the time probably a lot of people thought he was boring and all that, but I like anything really. I mean, I know that's a bit of a vague answer, but there's nothing really jumps out as like my favourite stuff ever.
Hey, no reason to worry about it.
I think a lot of artists have made good albums and have made shit albums, and like, you know, I like Bowie. You know, it's quite obvious stuff really, but then there's some weird stuff that I quite like as well.
My favourite Bowie album is Low, and then the Ziggy Stardust one. That's the ones I remember. And there's that one, I think is like standing on a wall. And it's got the song, I'm afraid of Americans, I'm afraid of the world.
Yes, another one. I tend to kind of, like with Pink Floyd, I stop at Animals. I think with Bowie, I kind of stop at Lodger. Everything after that. Maybe Scary Monsters. But everything after that, all his 80s and 90s stuff, I'm not really interested. Never really did it for me.
Yeah, I kind of get that too. There's a few bands myself, particularly, well, no offense to Moby, but he had some great stuff. I actually met him at Gatwick or Stansted as a child because my mother was driving a Land Rover and he was curious, oh, I want to see what that Land Rover's about. That actually looks pretty good. And he was at Burger King getting a bean burger sandwich. But since after Hotel, he kind of has been doing the same thing over and over again. And Gorillaz, that was one of my favorite bands growing up because, yeah, as you probably remember, Asa, the animated music videos.
My first, funny enough, that was my first album I ever owned, was the first Gorillaz album with the Jeep on the front. That was my first taste of music. Because every track just sounded so different, especially when you get to like that track, is it Latin Simone, where it's like Ibrahim Ferrier on it, like just talking in a different language. And for a 6-year-old to hear something in a different language, for me, like maybe if people were older at the time, it might not have stuck with them. But for me, as a 6-year-old, it was like, what's this album? It's amazing. And they don't exist. And I didn't know who Damon Albarn was or Blur. I didn't give a shit. Like, I just like looking at cartoons all day.
I was the same way too. I liked it because the animation, it was very cartoonish and visual. Even disregarding the parental advisory sticker on the album because it had some F-bombs. That didn't bother me because I thought...
Yeah. Well, I knew I'd been bought something special if it had a parental advisory sticker on it. But that was the kind of, for me, I mean, I don't know anyone older, but for me at the time, that was the spark that made me want to get into music, definitely. And listening to Play by Moby in the car when I was 5, that was amazing. Even though it's a bit dodgy now, that album still is great to me.
Okay, you and me, we're going to have a talk after this is recorded. Because, you seem to be into the same sort of stuff as I am. Films, TV-wise?
Just into anything, really. I mean, like Nail, like, just, for me, I mean, you always have your go-tos. I'm always looking for new music, but, like, kind of my go-tos are stuff like The Fall, The Velvet Underground, The Beach Boys, and then stuff like...
both like reggae as well.
Yeah, like King Tubby, Lee Scratch Perry. I'm a massive Stranglers fan as well, Spaceman 3. I mean, like guitar-wise, there's not really many guitar players alike other than Tony McPhee from the Ground Dogs. Like, people always go on about Clapton, but he's a wanker. I hate him.
He's got into trouble for saying, come to my concert, but don't get vaccinated. He's became a little bit one of those, anti-mask, anti-vax types.
Not to mention all the Enoch Powell shit he's still not said sorry for.
Oh, he is?
And again, we did get Morrissey. You what, sorry?
It's kind of like Morrissey just saying right-wing bollocks.
Yeah, and it's just, it just goes without saying, it's just a bit of a lot of a dick move. But then you had some good movements come after it before the Rock Against Racism stuff. So at least people went against him, which is good, because he's just a knobhead. So, yeah.
Well, to each his own, I suppose. I mean, even Johnny Rotten of Public Image, another great band from the sort of new wave area. They're better than the Pistols, mind you. He's gone a bit off the rails himself. And he hasn't even made really any albums since the Public Image was rotten in 2015, which I'm sure, probably, I know I keep going on about Jason. He probably listened and said, this is proper bollocks. It's all rank in the line. That's my impersonation of him. Is that a bad impersonation of...
What, Johnny Rotten?
Well, Johnny Rotten, he sounds like this.
He just sounds like static television to me. I can't bear him. I mean, you can't take away can't take away what he's done, but for me, like with the punk thing, give me the damned ATV or MC5 any day of the week, rather than the Pistols.
Oh no, I totally understand there.
I'm not one of them that's like of this generation that's like, there's just stuff I think is more interesting than, you know, the Sex Pistols, like especially when it comes to like, you know, and all that kind of selling out bullshit that everyone always has with the punk thing. You know, it's like there's some proper. I mean, me now like alternative TV. For me, they're the defining punk band of the 70s, really, especially that British punk that takes better stuff from the American proto-punk stuff like MC5 or any of them lot.
Like even Ramones as well.
Yeah, they're great. They'll always be great. You know, even though how popular they are, it still had that spark that caused thousands, millions of imitators in the UK. So, yeah, America all the way. The one good thing about it.
Well, their music and sometimes their films and TV, they definitely up the ante on that there. I actually will talk to you a little after I finish recording this, but I'll just say for everyone here, thank you for watching, and we're very happy to have Nail and Asa on board. Hopefully you don't think of them as father and son type of group. They're actually just
They can. No, it's been great. It's been great. Thank you. Big pleasure.
Hey, definitely you're very welcome there. We hope you stop on by next time.